As for country star Keith Urban and his ex Nicole Kidman, she's breaking her silence about family amid their split.
I'm getting ready for the Chanel show. I'm just very nervous. Yeah, I have my daughters coming with me.
That's Nicole sporting new bangs at Chanel's Paris show with her girls 5 days after filing to divorce their dad. And now Vogue reveals Nick was seemingly dropping clues to the split weeks earlier.
Nicole Kidman's film Baby Girl hit theaters with strong attention. It was bold, emotional, and full of provocative scenes. Critics praised her performance, calling it one of her best. But at home, the reaction was different. The film's themes of desire and loneliness created tension in her marriage. Keith Urban reportedly chose not to attend the premiere or any promotions. That absence started the rumors. People whispered that he felt betrayed on screen. Support slowly turned into silence, and silence turned into distance. What looked like a simple career choice became something far bigger. Behind the applause, a marriage was starting to fall apart. She had chosen her art, but it came with emotional cost. For her, it was expression. For him, it felt like exposure. That's where the line between art and love began to blur. The question became clear. Which comes first when both define who you are? At the Cannes premiere, the audience gave standing ovations, but Urban was a no-show. The missing seat said more than any interview could. That night, Nicole smiled for cameras, but her eyes looked elsewhere. Everyone saw the actress. Few saw the woman losing her partner, and somewhere between applause and silence, Keith Urban made his decision to walk away for good. On August 29th, Keith Urban quietly signed the separation papers. There were no public statements, no arguments online, just silence. While the world still believed in their love story, he had already left. It was the moment reality caught up with the image. Reports later confirmed that Urban moved into a Nashville home weeks before the Vogue interview was released. The timing changed everything. Her emotional answers weren't about doubt, they were about loss. The story people thought was breaking was already over. Paparazzi photos showed moving vans outside their property, but fans refused to believe it. They said, it's just for renovation. But it wasn't. It was goodbye. The timeline flipped. The interview wasn't before the breakup. It was after. Her words in Vogue suddenly became evidence of what she already knew. Behind every calm line and perfect pose was a woman trying to hold it together. The public illusion was still alive, but the private truth had already unfolded. Even the dates told the story. His signature date matched the day she flew to London for the Vogue shoot. He moved out as she moved on, 2 lives separating in silence. The cameras caught her smile, but not her grief. So how did she keep smiling for the cameras with a heart already broken? In September 2025, Nicole Kidman's social media looked full of love. Her Instagram showed warm photos and long anniversary captions. Fans thought the post meant everything was fine, but insiders knew the truth. It was all over. At that time, Nicole was already living alone in London, while Keith Urban stayed in Nashville. The distance wasn't for work, it was separation. Still, she kept posting. She wrote, "Forever and always." Those words appeared just days before the divorce papers were finalized. It looked like romance, but it was really denial. What fans saw as devotion was actually a quiet goodbye. Each photo, each caption now reads like a farewell letter to a life she was losing. Her public smile hid private grief. She wasn't pretending for fame. She was trying to stay strong. It's the same conflict every star faces: public performance versus personal truth. When the divorce went public, her likes went up by 40%. People were drawn to her strength without realizing what it cost her. Everything she posted in those final days now feels different. The Vogue interview wasn't just about style. It was her way of saying goodbye before anyone else knew. And now, everyone wonders, did she already plan to let the world see her heartbreak? One photo at a time. After the divorce, people went back to read the Vogue article again. This time, it didn't sound like a fashion story. It sounded like a goodbye letter written in plain sight. Every sentence felt like an open wound. She spoke about loss, pain, and using fashion as armor. Her words were calm but carried deep sadness. She said fashion could be playful, sexy, or screw you. It was her own definition of resilience. Back then, readers thought it was confidence. Now they saw it as a shield. The same photos that once looked glamorous now looked lonely. The soft smile, the distant gaze. It all made sense later. The article was never meant to be a confession, but life turned it into one. Every quote became a clue that no one noticed. Vulnerability had slipped out through her carefully chosen words. She didn't plan to reveal pain, but it was there anyway. The story felt different after the split, like it had changed meaning overnight. Even Vogue's website crashed from heavy traffic the day the divorce news broke. Everyone wanted to read what they had missed. In that interview, her reflection quietly became a revelation. Nicole filed for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage. Fans were stunned. The couple everyone thought was unbreakable suddenly fell apart. People began asking what really happened. Then someone remembered her Vogue interview from just a few weeks earlier. At first, it looked like a normal magazine talk. Soft lights, calm smiles, and gentle answers. But after the divorce news, that same interview felt different. Every look, every pause, every word seemed to carry hidden meaning. She spoke about change, acceptance, and trusting the unknown. It didn't sound like promotion anymore. It sounded like a quiet goodbye. Behind the elegant dress and perfect makeup, there was clear sadness. She looked calm, but her eyes told another story. It was not a publicity moment. It was a warning the world ignored. Weeks later, it became clear that she had already made her decision. That Vogue shoot wasn't about fashion. It was about freedom. What everyone thought was confidence was really closure. And the question now is, how did a simple interview hide such a deep message that no one saw coming? For years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were seen as Hollywood's golden couple. They had it all: music, movies, and a marriage that looked perfect. Every photo showed smiles. Every public moment looked effortless. Fans believed their love was unbreakable. They were living proof that celebrity love could actually last. In June 2025, Nicole posted a message for their anniversary. It said, "My deep, deep love." The post went viral within hours. Thousands commented the same words. Relationship goals. People called them a real-life fairy tale. But behind those smiles, things were already changing. The distance had begun. Quiet, private, and real. They were together in public, but apart in silence. Fame required them to look happy, even when they weren't. They had to protect the image the world wanted to see. Their private truth couldn't compete with public expectations. Inside their home studio, they once had a room called Forever. Now that word didn't feel the same. The songs they wrote about love slowly turned into memories. To everyone watching, they still looked perfect. But Nicole already knew what was coming. And during that Vogue interview, she said something subtle. Something that made the world realize Forever was already ending. The Vogue interview in August 2025 looked simple and normal. It was meant to be a fashion and career story, nothing more. The cameras showed Nicole Kidman calm and confident. Her smile looked steady, but her eyes told another story. There was clear fatigue, quiet, but real. The shoot took place in London, while Keith Urban stayed in Nashville. Even that detail said a lot. They were living on different paths. As the lights rolled, she spoke softly about her life and routine. She said fashion had always been her armor. That one word carried more meaning than anyone realized. It wasn't just about clothes. It was about protection. That same word would later define her entire post-divorce image. She was already building walls the world couldn't see. But viewers missed the sadness hiding between her quotes. They only saw glamour, not the grief underneath. The truth was right there, wrapped in careful answers and polite laughs. It was the same struggle every star faces: honesty versus expectation. How much truth can a person share before it becomes a headline? During the shoot, they even played Urban's song Parallel Line, a love song echoing through a room where love was already fading. And later, one single sentence from that day would come back to haunt every reader. During the Vogue interview, Nicole Kidman said one quiet line that changed everything. She said, "Sometimes you think you know where life is going, and then it isn't." At first it sounded simple and calm, but now it sounds like a warning she gave herself. Her voice was steady, yet her eyes showed real emotion. That moment revealed more than she planned. It was recorded just 3 weeks before she filed for divorce. The timing made every word feel heavier. Editors called the line philosophical, but fans later called it a message in plain sight. It was one of those quotes that seemed too real for a press interview. For a second, the mask slipped, and vulnerability showed through her grace. That clip was cut from the print version, but it aired online days before the news broke. When fans watched it again later, it felt like she was talking to herself. Each word carried quiet sadness, hidden behind control. It was the same battle between public image and private truth. The clip became viral again when Vogue re-uploaded it after the divorce. Views tripled overnight. People said, "She told us and we didn't listen." That single quote proved one thing. Her confession was there all along. But what had sparked that pain she could no longer hide? And it left one question hanging. When did her truth stop being private and start becoming public? On September 30th, 2025, Nicole Kidman officially filed for divorce. In one moment, a 19-year marriage ended. The news spread across Hollywood within hours. For fans, it felt like a fairy tale collapsing overnight. She requested primary custody of their 2 daughters, signaling how final the decision was. The announcement shocked even insiders who thought things were fine. Tabloids called it Hollywood's quietest bombshell. There were no public fights, no statements, just one legal document that changed everything. Soon, people connected the dots. The Vogue interview had already predicted it all. Her calm tone, her choice of words, everything fit now. Fans began rereading quotes, looking for clues they had missed. Every smile from that photo shoot suddenly felt heavy with meaning. The world realized the love story was over, and now her legacy was next. Would she be remembered for heartbreak or for strength? Even the dates lined up. The filing came exactly 31 days after his separation signature. It was no accident. Nicole had already closed that chapter in silence. Now everyone waited to see. Would she hide from the spotlight or turn heartbreak into power? A few weeks after the divorce, Nicole Kidman appeared at Paris Fashion Week. The same woman walked out, but everything about her looked different. She had new bangs, a sharper style, and quiet confidence. It wasn't just fashion, it was a message. Her daughters stood proudly beside her. Designers whispered the same nickname, the Phoenix of Paris. After weeks of silence, she had finally spoken, without words. Every move, every look, every smile felt intentional. This wasn't a return, it was a reinvention. Her silence spoke louder than any interview she had ever done. Each public appearance now felt like part of a carefully planned revenge tour. And the world began to understand. The Vogue confession wasn't random. It was the prologue to her rebirth. In public, she showed power. In private, she carried pain. But only one side would win under the spotlight. Her look went viral across TikTok, trending as bangs of revenge. What fans saw was strength. What insiders saw was strategy. And when the lights dimmed on Paris, one question remained. What truth did she leave behind when the cameras turned away? Every headline circled back to one single moment. The Vogue interview. The more people rewatched it, the clearer it became. That calm smile wasn't peace. It was pain hiding in plain sight. Viewers finally understood the sadness behind her grace. Her own words had quietly predicted everything. The betrayal, the loss, and even the rebirth that came after. Analysts called it the most accidentally honest interview of the year. What once looked like promotion now felt like prophecy. Every clip, every sentence sounded different in hindsight. She hadn't slipped. She had spoken her truth. The question now was whether it was a mistake or a plan. Was it a slip of truth or a final act of control over her own story? Because in that moment, Nicole Kidman proved she could be vulnerable and powerful at the same time. She chose both. Honesty and vengeance, wrapped in one flawless interview. The Vogue September issue became its highest seller since 2018. The world kept talking, guessing, and decoding every word she said. And one final question echoed across Hollywood. Did Nicole Kidman just redefine how stars confess without ever speaking? Her Vogue confession was never just words. It was a warning. The interview that once looked fragile was her first step toward freedom. What people saw as sadness was really strategy. The world finally saw her not as broken, but reborn. She had turned silence into strength and heartbreak into control. Even quiet grace can be louder than tears. That was her message all along. What we thought was calm was a confession screaming beneath Chanel silk. She didn't lose. She rewrote the ending. And when truth hides in plain sight, the question remains, are we really listening? From fairy tale to freedom, Nicole Kidman's story has come full circle. What shocked the world wasn't the divorce, but her courage to face it first. She didn't cry for attention. She chose silence as her statement. Her calm became her power. Subscribe for more real Hollywood stories where confession turns into strength. And tell us, did Nicole know she was revealing her heartbreak, or did the truth slip out on its own?